What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Coach Marcus.
And today, we got the Real Estate Lightning Round. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, Marcus?
Everything's good. Is that how you really started out? What's going on, Marcus?
Yeah, I like that. What am I supposed to say?
What up, bro?
What up? What's going on, Marcus?
Everything good, man. What's up with you?
We got a lightning round today, brother. You ready for the fire? You ready for the heat?
I don't think you're ready for it. I don't think you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it.
You know, I'm competitive, so.
Oh, is this a contest?
It ain't because I don't want no push-ups today.
Oh.
We don't really have nothing that's going to be push-up related, but.
We could always throw some push-ups.
I know we can, but I'm sore. I've been riding the bike and working out and everything, so I'm trying to lose this weight.
I know.
Trying to lose weight.
How's it going?
It's actually going good, man.
Yeah.
When you ride a bike with your child, you know, you're not able to get the calories and the burn and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I love working out with my family. But when I get up early in the morning and go ride the bike and up and down these hills, get these calories in, and hit the weight room yesterday and trying to get back down to some playing weight. So I'm trying to get like 15 pounds off right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Not to
I
mention,
got faith in you.
Appreciate that. Not to mention, I'm going to Florida and I ain't trying to come back with no harpoons in the back. They think they caught a whale on the beach.
Yeah. All right. Well, ready for this lightning round, brother?
Let's get it.
Let's hit the first real estate topic. Today, the top real estate topic that we got for y'all is millions are priced out of homeownership this past year, researchers have found. So, according to RIS Media, the cost burdens and affordability have become two of the most acute, urgent issues emerging from the last 3 years in the housing market. According to the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, which released its State of the Nation Housing Annual Report this week, estimates that over 2 million renter households have been priced out of home ownership over the past year. What say you, Coach Marcus?
2 million households been priced out in the same year.
According to RIS Media, yes, sir.
And that's accurate. I mean, it's unfortunate, but because there's so many people that thought that it was going to hit 2% or be in that 2-3% range, and they were like, "I'm gonna wait for the market to come out," and they rolled the dice, gambled, and lost. They crapped out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like a lot of these 2 million homeowners households is what they're saying.
Yeah,
they probably could have bought during the pandemic, or maybe they even tried and they just weren't successful.
Yeah.
But I think it does go to show, hey, don't wait.
Yeah, we say we can't time the market. You know, it's about time in the market. So, you know, but that also proves that there's still time right now, right? So if you feel like you can't afford to buy and you can do it in a responsible way, then do it, because when the market does get better, because it will, as long as you can afford it now and the market improves, then you'll be able to afford it even more when it improves.
And I mean, one thing, you know, I got a lot of people that are kind of like, you know, they travel, they go back and forth, and, you know, they're still building their careers and their business and stuff like that. And they say, hey, you know, right now might not be the best time for me. Totally understand.
Correct.
And remember, real estate's like a train, so you got to get on at your stop and then ride it all the way to the end of the stop.
Yep.
Time in the market usually doesn't work out in our favor per se. You know, a lot of 2 million houses it being out of price, and then also another thing that we always harp on, we get to the Coach Corner, which is you don't always have to find your dream home. Rarely are you going to find your dream home on your very first house. Get in where you fit in, grab something. Always better to, own a shack than rent a mansion, in my opinion.
Where do you get that from?
I feel like I just invented that. I don't know.
That was a good one, though.
Let's get into the Coach's Corner, brother. What you got for us?
All right, so record low mortgage delinquency rates. So in terms of talking about the potential crash, and there was kind of some forewarnings of a crash might come, in the last month or so, then the analysis showing that the delinquency rate fell to 3.1% in May, and it makes that one of the lowest rates on record according to Black Knight's First Look report. So what that means is the people that are going late on their mortgage payments, and it's being reported by these mortgage servicers, the amount of people that are going late is going down. So it's not like we're having some huge crash where there's going to be a lot of foreclosures and a lot of people are going to be, late on their mortgages and homes coming back on the market. The number is going down. So it's not going the way that potential investors may have thought it might be going by now, which also alludes to why we don't have a lot of inventory, because some people thought some of this coming inventory would be.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, that was kind of like and again, like we always say on this show, go against the herd. If the herd is probably thinking there's going to be a crash, less likely there's going to be a crash. And quite frankly, one of the defining characteristics of a crash is that you don't expect it to happen. Otherwise, it's just a market turn. Every single crash we've ever had, nobody predicted it. Nobody expected. Look at it just happened. Look at SVB. Nobody expected SVB to crash, to collapse, but it just did. Nobody was. So if we could have predicted, now here's what you can predict. You can predict market cycles. Yeah. Right. There's always going to be buyer market and sellers markets, and those are invariable because of the inherent laws of the law of supply and demand. Yeah. Those never go away. I mean, it happens in socks. It happens in wheat. It happens in corn and chickens, and all of any product that you're selling are subject to the laws of supply and demand. And so I think when you recognize just the overall patterns in the market, you can take advantage, not so much looking for, like I said, like holding a lottery ticket and hoping that, 2% interest rates will come back, or, 2008 will come back, or 1986 will come back. Like we're in 2023.
And the real talk, if you were even a part of 2008, there's no way in your right mind you want 2008 to come back, man. So and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I haven't cut you off. That's what we do on the real estate wire. It was nuts. Most of the realtors that I know now weren't even in real estate in 2008. Yeah, that's 15 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So, but there's no way. I mean, you can use it as a point of reference, but you can only look at it and say, okay, I can only imagine what it was like 15 years ago. But 15 years ago was absolutely crazy.
Dude, 2 years ago was absolutely crazy.
True.
Everybody's wishing for 2020 to come. I'm like, y'all don't want that market.
But it was like crazy because of the amount of
the experience of buying. Yeah,
but it was
crazy.
This excitement because I can get 2%.
And 3%. It was all across the board, the emotional spectrum. I mean, it was like lowest lows. I had clients that just would be devastated when they would miss out on a house, or because they would fall in love with the house and then they see 30 other people and they can only go up so much, and they would just, this is it.
Had to put the booties on, put the mask on.
Put the mask and the
booty.
You
only had like 5 minutes to walk through it. So how can you really feel a house,
And everybody's sitting and so you want that to come back? Yeah, I don't think people want that smoke.
But check this other side of it. In 2008, you had people buying homes, sometimes sight unseen, but it was a home that somebody lost. So think about you're now trying to, it's a different type of heart set mindset of somebody lost his house. Now it's in foreclosure, short sale. Now I got to go in. And then some of the properties that were back then, you go and see on the short sale. I can't tell you how many listings where you walk in and you're like, yo, this is an apocalypse that happened here because the walls were the appliances
when they
were taking out the copper pipings out the wall.
They were dogging the houses out.
Dude, that was nuts.
I remember those years. I mean, I think it's amazing that article is a lot of people were saying, after the pandemic, there was going to be this massive amount of delinquencies. Now we're seeing that they were wrong. Yeah. A lot of people were saying, oh, well, just wait until after, the pandemic, and then real estate is a bubble. Well, they were wrong. Right. We see that real estate is not a bubble. And so that leads to our next real estate topic. Where are all the crash bros?
Crash bros.
All the crash bros. I don't know if you guys remember right before when we were in 3%. Once interest rates started creeping up 3%, everybody was on social. All the gurus were, or the pseudo gurus, because the actual gurus were like, guys, calm down. It's not, we're going to be all right, right? And the guys like me, the guys like you, where we were saying, hey guys, it's going to be all right. Calm down. We're not trying to sell clicks here. Right. And I think a lot of the crash bros were selling clicks. Oh, it's going to be apocalypse. Don't buy anything because your house value is going to drop as soon as you buy. And we're seeing, hey guys, everything is still normal. Quite the opposite. Right. We're not seeing any inventory coming to the market. So we have a problem. We have a different problem. And I think a lot of people thought we're just going to be losing values and '08 all over again and houses for half off. And a lot of people lost out because they were waiting. And now I don't see the crash bros no more. I don't see anybody talking that content no more.
And you know what I think is Do you remember when Ryan was here
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about like bringing it? He would talk about like his family invested in what he, his dreams or invested in properties.
Yeah.
And he's like, once they made the return, he was like, you never know what people have until you talk about it, right? And ask them. And I've been thinking about this thing, and we talk about the lack of inventory. Inventory is an issue, right? We don't hear about the supply chain being as much of an issue as we once did.
Right.
So I've been thinking about this thing with all these commercial buildings that are no longer being used and all that stuff, and even land that might be available. And I'm wondering, like, how many people that are sitting on equity of a home that actually can connect and get, and basically have a vision to say, let's create some affordable housing for people, and let's do what we can to build multi-unit properties, and even if it is opportunity to take like these warehouses and make them into like residential homes and apartment complexes. Yeah. I've seen some people do some stuff with it. Like, do you ever see that one? I can't remember where it is, where they took a school and
what's my boy's name? Wait, you talking about the dude that turned into
affordable
King
apartments?
Randall? Oh, you talking about a different guy? Oh, it turned into apartments. Nah, I didn't see who was that.
I can't remember who it was, but of course you see it on social media.
I was talking about the algorithm. King Randall, he bought a school and turned into an all black prep school for young black men.
Oh, that's dope too. But
yeah, he's a beast. He's like 20 in his 20s though.
Oh, shout out to you, King Randall.
King Randall, you a beast, brother. Hey, if you want to jump on the pod, King Randall, hey, we would love to have you, brother.
For sure.
Shout out.
Tag. Make sure we tag him.
He's on the East Coast too.
We can
do that, brother. If you trying to, I'm gonna put this on the socials. Holla at me, brother. I love King Randall. I love his work, man. He's a on fire brother for sure.
I love it.
Let's get to the next topic in the coach's corner. What you got for us, coach?
All right. Hard or soft credit pulls.
What?
So, typically when you go to a lender, they're going to say, do an application. Let me look at your credit, and automatically it's a hard pull. So a lot of people think, oh, it's a hard pull is bad on your credit report. Well, not so, because too many hard inquiries. It was a hard pull, hard inquiry. Too many hard inquiries within a certain amount of time can reduce your interest rate. Can reduce your credit score. Sorry about that. But if it's done within a certain time frame, usually about 2 weeks, but the maximum time is anywhere from 30 to 45 days. If you're looking at your credit and having hard inquiries for the sole purpose of buying a home, it only counts as one hard inquiry. Okay. Now, here's what we know about today's, and the credit requirements and credit rules have changed. When you submit a hard inquiry, it's submitting your information to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So therefore, there's other lenders out there that have kind of bought into this system, what we're calling trigger leads, right? So when you refer a client as a realtor, refer that client to me, they apply. If I were to take the application and do a hard credit pull, then that's going to activate a triggered lead. And then you can expect, as a buyer, you can expect probably 100 calls, 85 calls, something like that, right? In a matter of hours. There are some ways, but it's not always as effective as one would think. So the way to get around it is to do a soft credit pull, which is what I do, right? So I'm able to get all three scores, and it doesn't send that information over to the all three credit bureaus. Therefore, there's nothing for these sharks in the water, so to speak. They're just waiting for the chum to hit the water, and which is the chum is you in your application, your credit. And they're waiting for it to hit the water, and then they're all over it, right? That's where the 100 calls come from. You work with me, soft credit pull. None of that ever happens. I can still get all three scores. I can still do a real pre-approval. I can still, let you go out shopping and I can run it through the automated systems and get a real response that says, yes, they're qualified, or no, they're not.
So,
and not all lenders are doing that.
What's the difference between Credit Karma? I know you probably get this question all the time. What's the difference between the Credit Karma score, Vantage score, and I'll throw one more in there, Equifax?
So your three major bureaus are Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. You have your different scoring models, right? You have your FICO version, you have your Vantage score, you all have all these things. So when you do the most serious and most dialed in and detailed credit report, is going to come when you're actually looking for money. So whether you are buying a vehicle, buying a home, and you don't have a jewelry account, somebody who's giving you money because you don't have it, they want to see exactly, and they want to see as intense and as detailed as it can be, where your scores are, right? And how you're paying your stuff back. So as a mortgage lender, I have the most detailed score. Now, there's over 100 factors per bureau that make up your credit score. So that's over 300 factors, right? Credit Karma made up their own scoring system. And their scoring system is loosely based upon what they know about the all three bureaus scoring system, which that scoring system is top secret. So when they give a score, that score is always off. It's always off. Now, sometimes I see it off by like where they're higher by about 30, 40 points. So when somebody says, oh, I've been looking at my Credit Karma and it says a 650, I automatically know I'm probably working with a 620, 630 credit score.
Because I know when I did last time, when I bought my house, I was looking at Credit Karma and Credit Karma had my credit low.
Lower than what your real score was?
Lower than what, yeah. And then I got it pulled and it ended up being like almost 30, 40 points higher. And then I was like, "Oh, word!
How soon?
I'll buy it."
What was the time frame in between the Credit Karma look? And
when I bought my first property, it was like, well, according to I waited an entire. No, it was I don't care. It was like 6 months later. I looked at my score.
Okay.
And then I said, I looked at Credit Karma and it was low.
Okay.
And I was like, I ain't gonna be able to buy this house because I got too much. I already got a house. So but then I got it pulled. And it was way higher than what Credit Karma was saying. And I was like, oh, let's put a contract on it today. Because I was like, oh, bet.
So maybe some stuff hadn't reported, which did report or paid balances down or whatever. But if you're looking at it like same day type of information, I think I'm only a few times where Credit Karma was lower than the real score, like you're saying, and only a few times where it was kind of exact, in terms of where my scores were. And but most of the time it's way off. But I see it all the time, and everybody uses it. Shoot, I use it it's a good monitoring because it'll tell you like some stuff to add it onto your bureau, some stuff dropping off. It'll give you some alerts.
Okay, so all right. So then look at it, but don't rely on it. Basically.
Okay. And in a nutshell, basically your Vantage score is more or less like the consumer version.
Okay.
Right. So you have your Credit Karma, which is use their own stuff.
Yeah.
The Advantage can be like your own consumer version, which is not as strong. I think it's probably a little bit stronger than Credit Karma, but the most accurate information is when you go to someone, a lender, and then they pull it and they tell you exactly what's on it. And if they can't analyze your credit report, you need to get a second opinion, talk to somebody else.
Got it. Let's get to the next real estate headline rapid fire round. We getting through it.
Knocking this joint out, bro.
So I just read an article today, and the topic of the article, Tampico. Did you ever eat Tampico?
Tampico, that's like the
what's that?
The
what's that
juice.
called?
Tampico's
no. Oh yeah, Tampico is. What's the pudding?
Tapioca.
Tapioca. Do you like tapioca?
I used to rock with it.
Really, with the little beads inside?
Well, you ever had bubble tea?
Yeah, I can't drink bubble tea. I cannot. I don't like balls floating, and then I gotta drink it, and then it's like I gotta slurp it. Like, what's inside those little balls? What is it? Wax? Candy?
No, that's
sugar.
Those are tapioca pearls.
What is tapioca?
Tapioca is like a starch, like a yeah. But what's funny about the tapioca pearls that they put in there? They're hard as rocks. Like when they first, and then they let them soak, and that's how you get the jelly consistency.
That's not making it any more enticing. So the article,
you need to diversify your palate, brother.
No, I'm a single taster. I'm good at tapioca, bro. I made that decision a long time ago. Despite significant doom and gloom in microeconomic areas, data on housing is starting to provide a positive counterpart, underscoring increased confidence around the near future of housing as buildings and developers push construction of new units at a 13-month high. So it looks like as of June 20th, a massive 21.7 increase in the previous month put new starts at a seasonally adjusted annualized rate of 1.63 million units in May, with single-family startups rising sharply as well, 18.5% to a 997,000 annualized rate. Apartment buildings were up even more spectacular, 28.1%, up 624 at a 624,000 rate. So I think this kind of goes to another beautiful problem that we're having in real estate right now, which is it ain't no inventory. We ain't got no houses. And, we already saw what happens when the inventory shrinks, the prices go up. We all get that now. We all kind of are seeing, I think, in real time, when interest rates go up and the demand drops, that does not necessarily mean prices will come down.
Yeah.
Because interest rates, contrary to the Crash Bros and everybody that was saying it, interest rates are not the primary factor or not the only deciding factor as to whether a person is going to buy a house or not. Unfortunately, everybody think, oh, well, interest rates means everybody. No, that's not actually the case. The biggest effect, I mean, it does, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
People do consider the interest rate, but it's not as big a factor in the pricing as inventory is.
And I think the other side of that is, like, what is the need? I mean, we talk about buyer demand, right? If you have a lot of houses out here and nobody like really feels like they need to buy one, you have as many houses you want. If the people don't want it, you don't want it.
I mean, exactly. And I think, we have a problem now where everybody wants houses, but it's just not enough. And I think what a lot of people are looking at is we still, since 2008, quite frankly, I was looking at an article. I'm going to bring that article up next time. But we still have not caught up from 2008 as far as the amount of inventory that we really need in order to satiate the amount of demand that we have in this country.
What is it? It's like a shortage of like $58 million.
I think it's something like 9 million. I don't think it's like 50. I think it's something like 9 million. But I think we were already at an inventory crunch 2017, 2018. The pandemic exploded that, and it really exposed that shortage of inventory, that lack of new builds and lack of really people selling their houses, right? We got a lot of boomers that are living longer, that are have a whole bunch of paid off houses. 42% of the houses in this country are owned free and clear with no mortgage. So there's no incentive for these people to really sell when they don't have a mortgage. All they got to do is pay the taxes. So that contributed to another large percent of the low inventory. Then when the pandemic hit, we dropped even more. Now that the pandemic's lifted and the interest rates increased, we're still seeing the underlying issue, which is there ain't that many houses for sale. And so that's going to be really hard to drop prices in a low inventory market. And one good thing that we're seeing now is this 21.7% increase in new builds.
Yeah. It's funny when we talk about the pandemic and we're post-pandemic and things. They were like, you can't go outside and whatever, right? But it became so popular to buy a house. Like, can you really buy a house other than online if you can't go outside because you obviously can't go see the house, right? So like, I'm trying to figure out like what happened where, because it was such a crazy time. Like, what happened where you're like, oh, this is we have the disease that's floating around and all that, and you can get it really easy. Okay, so cool. We're gonna drop the rates. Okay, cool. So let's everybody just go outside and buy a house. Like
real estate is essential.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. I don't understand how it all. When you look back at it, like, because when we're right up on it, the perspective, all you can see is what's right on your nose, right?
Right.
But then now that we're backed off of it a couple of years, they're like, yeah, what was really happening? What were we really thinking? Like, in terms of the real estate market, and it was good, it was busy, and it was not good, and it was busy. It was just depending on your perspective. But like, I just don't see how all of it like really connected.
I remember because when it first hit, everybody kind of just froze. I remember I had this was 2020, so I was in DC on the Edson place, and I remember I had like 6 or 7 properties under contract, and then within a matter of like a week, I think pretty much all of them dropped out except like 1 or 2.
That was the red money that Bat was talking about.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, I had a couple good friends that was on the contract. They was like, yo, man. And then when they look back, they were like, Dad, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have pulled out. And I was like, yeah. Because I was like, why are you dropping out? If anything, you should be buying more because everybody's dropping out. So what do you think these properties that are just sitting on the market, if everybody's scared to buy, like, you might want to jump in right now. But that was like about a 3-month window when it was around what was that, March or like January, February, somewhere around there, when everything was kind of in flux, and it was like 2019 had just ended. we was hearing
March
stuff
when everything was kind of in flux.
right, and then they officially did like the lockdowns like after March or something, like
I think
May,
it was
June.
It was April 4th.
April 4th. Okay, right.
April 4th. It was like that's when it got really real.
Yeah.
For me, like watching, I was like, 'cause I ain't mean to cut you off. Yeah, I did.
You don't got to say I don't mean to cut you off. Just cut me off.
But I'm watching CNN and all the, the maps and all the news and all that stuff, and we're looking at CNBC and stuff, and it's like all the numbers are going crazy. And I remember that day where some people that I had priced out, the regular market, I think we had 4 and some change is the interest rate, and then like we get repriced. I mean, I'm talking about like once an hour, once every hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
We get a reprice notice. And we're like, what is going on? And then like by the end of the day, like we went from like 4 and some change. We're sitting at like high fives.
Oh,
that never really happens. Like, but like in that time
I remember
frame.
that. Yeah.
And then the next day, it just kept going. So some people that I'm pricing, and I'm still getting phone calls and applications, and people are saying, what's your interest rate? And there are some that I was like, interest rate, and I look at them like I have to actually tell them it's 6.9. Like
this was in right when it first started.
Yeah, when it first started.
Oh, okay.
Like today's rate 6.9. Like 6.9. It was
that makes sense because that uncertainty threw the whole stock market out of whack, and it threw the bond market out of whack, and everybody was like
that was
selling all their short term bonds. They were like, oh crap. So that makes sense that the interest rates would go up.
And then a few weeks later, like then it just tumbled, and it just. That's how we got down to like
that was when the Fed met and they were like, "Oh, we gotta bail these people out." Let's
came back to 4, and then it was a 3, and then that was and then you see people catching on to this. Oh, the rates are going down, and then we hit like the lowest that I was offering. I think at one point was like 2.25.
Woo! Yeah, one of my boys got locked in at 2.25 on an $800,000 house, 2.25. I'm like,
Nuts.
Wow, good for you, buddy.
But we won't see that again.
Yeah, I mean, if we do, jump in. But if not, it's all good.
Yeah.
Let's get to the last topic on the Coach's Corner. Lightning round. What you got? Oh.
Coach, all right. Last month, the availability of mortgage credit tightened in May. I talked about the number of foreclosures. The numbers went down in May, but also what's tightening up is the availability of credit. So sometimes when we see these loans that we have coming in, if you've got A+ credit or really no issues, and maybe you got a strong B grade on your credit, you really don't have any issues with getting an approval. But if your credit is in that C range, and there is money available for C credit and D credit as well.
What's the number for what you call C credit?
C credit is somewhere around 640.
Okay.
620, 640.
So there is money for them.
Yeah, for sure. You get into the 580 to 619, that probably puts you in that low C to D range. Like if I, but then below that, you kind of in the F. The F credit, right?
Yeah. Wait 6 months.
It's probably a good idea to wait 6 months unless you just have to do something now and you can do it responsibly. But the availability of the mortgage credit tightened in May, and I was talking to some other loan officers, and they were talking about how Fannie and Freddie had actually done a bunch of buybacks. So basically, these loans have started like acting up, right? And the delinquency rate was just kind of like a little uncertain. So when Fannie and Freddie started taking some of these buybacks or early payoffs and just the other things that are happening, then they tighten up. And so when you submit that loan for the automated approval, it doesn't give you the approval like it used to as fast. So that's when I said the availability of mortgage credit tightened up last month because of some of the stuff that's happening. And it's just because inflation's up, prices are up on everything. You know, the money is a little bit tighter in the household. So sometimes people get a little slower in their payments. And then when it comes to mortgage servicing, when they try to sell these loans in bulk, the performance of some of these loans they're selling in bulk is just not as highly, not performing as high as they once were. So they got to say, okay, well, let's evaluate this risk. Let's slow down on the amount of approvals. And that's what we saw last month.
Dude, and I mean, I think anybody that's listening, Real Estate Wire Squad, this is actually encouraging news.
Okay, tell me how.
It's encouraging, right? Think about it. The banks are tightening their lending practices because they don't want, they've learned their lesson. When they go looser on their lending practices, we see irresponsible or maybe people who should have waited 6 months or a year buying houses when they really aren't financially ready to do so. So when the banks are tightening their purse strings, as it were, this should give us some. This should actually encourage you, like give us some assurance that hey, the market looks like it's probably going to be stabilizing because we're seeing that they're getting tighter with their lending. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
We don't want a bunch of people out here, with loose money, just getting pre-approved ninja loans, no income, no job, no document verification loan. We've been there already, man. We don't want all of that, yo. So I think I'm excited to hear that. Actually, that makes me feel good. Because I don't want the value of my properties going down.
And I think it also helps stabilize the market for the long term. Again, the perspective is if you just concentrate on what's happening in your face, you also can't see what's going on down the road, and you certainly can't prepare for what may come. Yeah. Which is the reason why that word crash is what it is. I mean, it's sudden and it's impactful.
Yeah. Speaking of impactful, let's get into the real estate hot or not.
All right. Would you rather walk barefoot in a public restroom or get poisoned?
What type of poison?
You just said poison. Is
it like a deadly poison?
No, I ain't talking about just bubble guts. I'm saying I ain't talking about on your deathbed either. But you had to go through something.
Okay, well, I'm just going to assume that whatever this something that I'm going through is probably not going to be pleasant. I'll probably not really have much control over when it starts and stops, I'm assuming. So those factors being considered, I'm going to go ahead and take my socks off, walk barefoot.
In a public bathroom?
Yeah, it could be at a baseball park bathroom. I don't care.
The FedEx Field bathrooms are so trash, dude.
Give it to me.
Yeah, versus getting poisoned? Yeah, I'll take that with you. Would you, speaking of tapioca, would you rather have super sensitive taste buds or super sensitive hearing?
Hearing? Yeah. I always be wanting to hear what people be saying. What about you?
I think because I'm a foodie, probably the taste buds.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can hear pretty good now anyway. So.
Okay. You can't hear me in the next room, though. I can hear you in the next room.
Yeah, but you don't want to hear everything everybody's saying.
I kind of do.
Nosy.
I am.
Would you rather talk like Darth Vader or speak in the language of the Middle Ages? And I think the Middle Ages is probably like Louis the XIV and thus and thou and how they spoke when the King James who wrote the King James Bible.
And he said unto them, Luke. I'll take the Darth Vader, man. I need to be able to communicate, bro. I mean, what I sound like? James Earl Jones? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but through the mask and all that.
Yeah. It'd be like the pandemic all over again.
I probably go with the Middle Ages because, even when you hear somebody like from Britain, right? Talking to them, and it's always something a little cool to it. But
cool, isn't it? Isn't it, bruv?
Yeah, that's a little cool.
Hey, bruv.
But the thus and thou and thee and the shalls and that probably, if I know that it's a change in me, that probably would get on my nerves. But I'd much rather do that than sound like Darth Vader.
Really? Okay.
All that, I'm straight. Because you got to remember, he was just sitting there breathing sound like that. That's it's kind of cool, but
market.
No, don't do it. Would you rather be immortal on a mortal planet or mortal on an immortal planet?
Immortal.
You'd rather be immortal on a mortal planet
or
mortal on an immortal planet.
Immortality. I guess if you're immortal on a mortal planet, you're just going to sit there and watch a whole bunch of people die. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't care about. If I got to make a choice, I'll be immortal.
Okay.
What about you?
I'd probably go the other way, mortal on an immortal planet.
Why? You just want to get it out of the way.
Not so. I mean, because
You soft. You don't want to see
I'm
people die.
I'm not immortal anyway, right? So,
Are
but
you?
in terms of an immortal planet, you know, maybe I don't know. Maybe I can have an influence on the people that would essentially live forever. And
You really think they're gonna listen to some Morty?
Morty, maybe not. But I give it a shot though.
You a Morty? You ain't gonna be here. Do we listen to
Morty.
flies? Flies live what, like 6 days? You gonna listen to no
In
fly?
my house is less than that.
You're not even gonna be here in 10,000 years, bro. Like, why is what you're saying even important?
I don't know.
Or maybe it's so important because you're only going to be here for a limited amount of time.
Maybe.
I'd be arguing against myself.
I know. Would you rather have a completely automated home or a self-driving car?
I don't know. I'm not driving no self-driving car, bro. Oh, but the automated home is the choice?
The fully automated home or
like
a self-driving
car? Like the toilet seat, shower.
Jetsons, I guess, right?
We're actually living in the Jetsons right now.
Real talk, yes. The only thing that's not happening is flying cars all around the place.
We got flying cars. I think I think the flying cars is just like one of those.
Elon Musk, please don't.
But I think it's
whoever it is.
But here, I was listening to some guy on the TikTok. He was making it was a video actually on YouTube that was talking about like technology and innovation and how come we haven't seen like certain things pop up on the tech side versus what we thought we were going to see, like back in like the early like 70s, how they thought we were going to have like how they saw the future, like the year 2000, what they thought it was going to look like.
I'm listening.
They thought it was going to look like, right? Mm-hmm. And then versus what the year 2000 actually looked like. And so he was saying, like, for example, we thought back in, the 80s and stuff like that, the 80s and the 90s, that we was going to have like these self-driving cars. I mean, these flying cars. But the reason he said we don't have flying cars is the same reason why we don't have like, what was that one invention that there was one invention that they thought we were going to have in the 80s and 90s that we didn't have. But the reason, long story short, that he's saying we didn't have that is because we don't need flying cars, because we live in such a what they call a flat Earth, right? Mm-hmm. Which everything is just like you don't need to fly to get anywhere. So that's why like we just haven't evolved to even like putting the effort into like creating flying cars at mass.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd even want to have any sort of association with a flying car.
Really?
Because, like, there was another question on here. Would you rather be able to fly for a day or be invisible for a day?
Just for one day? I guess what can I do as an invisible person? Nothing really. Just walk around and look at people that they don't know looking at you.
You cause mischief or...
but I'm not particularly one to do that.
I'd love to be able to fly for a day.
Oh yeah, me too. I think I'll take the flight.
And I think with that is like with the flying car thing, man, we've been driving on 4 wheels forever and jokers can't drive.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if we got up in the sky, like it'd be like explosions happening, like
and there's no lanes and people.
Yeah, and then you got to complete with airplanes, and then it just amazes me that once you get 18 in this country, you don't even got to really do you got to take driving? You can just go start driving, right? When you turn 21, do you got to take class? I thought they just let you drive after a certain age. And one of my boys, I ain't gonna say your name, but he never took driving class when we was a kid. I took driving class, I was 15 and 9 months. And he never did it because he's just not an astute person.
That was driver's ed.
Driver's ed. When I was 16. I was like 10th grade, yeah.
11th grade, you take behind the wheel?
No, it was all in one course. It was during the summer, so it was like a week long.
Okay.
And then you do 3 driving out. You have to do 3 road practical hours, right?
Is that Maryland?
In Maryland, yeah. But my boy, he lived in D.C.
That explains it.
And they ain't had to do explains everything. I'm like, dude, you're not taking driver's class. You're like, no, yo, I'm good, yo. And I was like, dog, you are not a good driver, bro. Like, stop at that. Stop. I'm telling him all this. He's like, yo, you tripping, dog. I'm like, I'm not tripping.
What that big red octagon means.
Yeah, that big red octagon. Yeah, that's what that's for, bro. Let's get into the comment section, brother. All right. So this comment is from a guy on the TikTok here. His name is, this is @West. So West says, and if you want to comment, just drop a comment and you may get chosen for us to read you on the podcast. Wes says, and I'm sure he says this with all love and respect.
Usual.
And we like dealing with controversial topics here. He says realtors are doing anything and everything they can to get people to buy these overpriced houses. What say you?
I knew you were going to hit me with the what say you,
What
coach.
say you, coach?
I knew it. Realtors doing anything and everything they can.
Drop some knowledge on this, brother. What do you think about this statement?
So the first thing, it's accusatory. I feel like it's accusatory. Everything they can to buy these overpriced house. So there's another word in there, like that overpriced. Like it's not overpriced if the market dictates that this is accurate within the market, right? I mean, things of value, whether it be stamps, coins, baseball cards, vintage vehicles, and especially real estate is always purchased at a certain number, at a certain level for the eventual increase.
Yeah.
Your stocks are not, your 401k that's going up is not over. You don't have an overpriced balanced or inflated balance in your 401k.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because what you get at the end of it is more than what you started off with. So I just think that it's a matter of this gentleman needing to understand that realtors are doing bad realtors are doing anything and everything to get people to buy something that may not be priced well. Good realtors are counseling their buyers and their sellers to buy and sell responsibly in a market and at a price that's wise, but also meets their needs for the good of their family immediately and for the long-term benefit, because it will go up over time.
Dude, so you triggered a couple things that I want to triggered a couple thoughts in my mind. One, you said nobody's complaining about their 401k going up. You ain't say that, but that's what I heard. Which I think is,
I think I did say it, but yeah,
dude, that's dope. Like, that's a very good point, because inflation is what we're dealing with, right? In this market, we have an inflationary market. You can blame whatever for it. It is here, right? Okay. And inflation, though, is a double-edged sword, because it makes things more expensive, but it also pushes the price of assets up. So it increases your overall
net worth, probably.
Net worth, your portfolio value, because your net is minus your expenses, right? But yeah, your overall portfolio value. Okay. So we don't complain when we get into the house and then we say, oh, let me look on this website and see what my property value is. Oh, wow, it went up.
You really hype.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this kind of there's the law of sour grapes, right? Where it's like, oh, the grapes are too high. I can't reach them. Therefore, the grapes must be sour, and I don't want them anyway, right? So when a girl turns you down at the club, oh, you ugly. I ain't want to mess with you. Like, but you was just 30 seconds ago hollering and trying to holler.
When you were getting your rap together, on them 30 steps, you like,
yeah, but your game was weak. You couldn't get pre-approved. And so I hear that. I hear your point at West. Now, the second thing I'll say to what you said, Mark, is also, it's kind of like impossible. When you really understand how this business works, it's kind of impossible for real estate agents to force people to buy overpriced houses. Like, I understand your perspective, West, which is you look at, I'll just say, realtors writ large as the problem. Like, we're the ones that, like, if we had, let's say we owned a bakery, and there's still, expenses and things like that you have to, and then there's bottom line and profit when you have a bakery. But let's just use it as an overall broad example. A person at the bakery who owns the bakery can charge whatever he wants for these cakes. He can charge $1,000. He can charge $10,000. He can charge $100,000 and sell it to Beyonce, $100,000 cake, right? But and so that owner of the bakery is controlling the prices, right? Because he's setting it for whatever he wants, minus the flour, minus the eggs, and then he just adds whatever he wants. And if you don't like it, go to another shop, right? You can go to Entenmann's at the Safeway and buy a cake for $30, right? But so I understand where he's coming from. He's like, oh, you realtors are just trying to do anything to get people to buy overpriced houses. And I think what you have a misunderstanding about, West, is we don't actually control the prices. You control the prices. We work for you. And so we price the house where you tell us to. And then we say, hey, I think you may be a little bit overpriced. Hey, I think you may be a little bit underpriced based on everything else that's going on in the market. And then you say yay or nay. Well, screw you. My neighbor down the street got it for this. Therefore, I want it for that. And we say, I don't think you're going to get that because we're comparing apples and oranges. Like they got updated kitchen appliances, granite countertops, and you don't. But okay, maybe you do, or maybe you do. Maybe the house that sold had original flooring and countertops, and your house is brand new, updated windows, updated HVAC. And so for those things that you bought and upgraded the house, then we're able to price the house accordingly based on the market. But it's not Marcus or Dan saying, let's, one, overprice the house as a collective profession.
Right.
Let's all meet at our overpriced house meeting that we have in the secret, basement and the sub basement. We all meet and decide to overprice these houses just so that what's our end?
To frustrate the buyers.
Just to frustrate everybody. Yeah. Like we woke up to frustrate at West. And the third thing I would say is why it's kind of hard for that to happen is because of what Marcus does. Marcus is a lender. And in order for us to even get these houses funded, it has to appraise.
Mm-hmm. Unless you waive the appraisal, don't care what it's. But what it's worth. The other thing I just want to throw in is that a lot of times when these comments sometimes usually come from people that are on the downside or negative side of this housing market.
Yeah.
And I have been when it really clicked in my heart, I was probably 3 years into the business. Yeah, 2010. No, I'm sorry. Well, it wouldn't be 3. That'd be 7 years. But probably like 2010, 2010, something like that. Where I'm like, I'm here to serve the people, but I'm here to educate the people.
Yeah.
But my goal is to take them from wherever they are to put them in a better situation. And usually what I find is when I see comments like this or people that have a number of challenging statements and whatever, it's because they are where they are and they can't get to where they want to be. So Wes and some other people, and it's my job. That's your job to help them take them from where they are to where they want to be.
Yep.
And so when I hear like, okay, it's accusatory and I hear some of the language in the statement, it's what he felt. Okay. Right. He feels what he feels based on where he is. And I'm like, all right, I got you. That's why instead of just commenting, you need to like really engage with us because like we can help take you from where you are to where you want to be. And it's a journey. It's sometimes a little bit longer than what you think. Sometimes it can be even quicker than what you think. But with our professionalism, with our 30 plus years to combine experience in this, like we can guarantee that we can get you to where you want to be. And again, like Dan said, your first house ain't gonna be your dream house, but it is the seed planted in the ground of your dreams that'll help you get to where you want to go for the next house and for future generations to benefit off the decision that you make. That's all I got for you. You know who it is. You know what it is.
Coach Marcus, thank you guys so much for jumping into the Real Estate Wire. We really appreciate it. Where can they find you at, Coach?
At Theo's Mortgage Group, at Mortgage Coach Marcus.
And I am Dan Wheeler Sells Homes on all platforms. For all of us here at the Real Estate Wire, thank you so much. We are out.